We are the Allerton Avenue Homeowners and Tenants Association, located on Allerton on the corner of Morgan in the Pelham Gardens section of the Bronx. Tonight's community meeting was about introducing the candidate, Mr. Curtis Sliwa. It is so important to bring awareness, to bring education, and to bring community together. And that is what civic associations do. We have been around for 45 plus years, and we've been bringing the community together, and we've been bringing awareness to quality of life issues. That's what we're all about.
And you had lots of questions from the community.
I did. I had questions from the community, and I worked really hard to put together my own questions. I worked hard in doing so because I didn't want to touch on any of the other candidates. But it was easy because I've been doing this for 3 years, and I know what our community needs, where our community suffers, and what's important to the residents of this community. I enjoyed it all. I have a couple of pages of questions.
Yeah.
Just a few. Just a few. Okay. We're going to start with crime. What will you do to address the issue of the lack of prosecution with stolen cars and burglarized vehicles?
Boy, when we have Elise Stefanik as the governor next year, because I'm going to work hard to get Kathy O'Clock, I'm going to tell her to fight Darcel Clark. She's not prosecuted. She's the female version of Alvin Bragg, but she is the district attorney. So number one, we got 3 impediments. No cash bail, which they all hide behind judges and DAs to release criminals back in the street over and over. Raise the age, which, as you can see, the juvenile gang members have gone on a wave of shootout. Just so you understand, Jessica Tisch, the police commissioner, said, "Oh, shootings are down." That's up there, right there, Ferry Point Park. Remember when they executed those 2 Dominicans, 6 in the morning? 6 got away. They're still gone, even though they were all on camera. And Jessica Tisch was talking about how shootings are down, and then I got access to Darcel Clark's cheat sheet that goes to the local precinct, that then goes to review at Comstat. If I shoot at Gonzalo, gang member, I'm a gang member, but I don't hit Gonzalo. I hit a bird, I hit a tree, I blow out the back window of a Toyota Corolla. You know that doesn't count as a shooting.
That's horrible.
So naturally, he's upset because I missed him, so now he's going to try to get me. And we have shootout. Do you know that the police department does not consider that a shooting? I had to inform Rudy Giuliani the other day, because I've been on with him every night. I said, "Rudy, you know what they do when somebody shoots at you and they don't hit you?" He said, "Oh, that's a serious crime." I said, "Rudy, it's not even a crime in New York City." So first thing I have to do is elevate all the crimes so they become an arrestable offense. Shoplifting, which is a plague on small business especially. I mean, we end up locking up toothpaste and not criminals. Has to be an all-out effort from City Hall, because the DAs are going to resist, even the mother of my 2 youngest sons, Melinda Katz. And I'm going to tell the cops, lock them up, 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 run them until they develop a rap sheet in which they can't be released anymore. Persistence, that's number 1.
So are you in favor of bringing back stop and frisk?
Stop and frisk, it's a 2-edged sword. When Rudy was using it with Bratton as first police commissioner, and then Safer, and then Kerrick, they made about 125, 150,000 stop and frisk a year. And they were challenged by the Attorney General, and they went to court, and they were proved to be constitutional when you have probable cause. Then all of a sudden, Bloomberg, who knew nothing about the streets, but wanted analytics like they have on Wall Street, ordered the police department of Ray Kelly, each police officer was to do 5 stop and frisks a day. They had an index card they had to fill out at $250. So imagine at the end of the day, you haven't met your quota. You see young men coming out of a subway station or hanging out up against the wall, frisk them. Naturally, what do they come up with sometimes? Nickel and dime bags of marijuana, that's a bust. They didn't go to Wall Street and do that, or they'd come up with cocaine. They didn't go into clubs where the politicians like to hang out, like Con Sofrito that just got padlocked. Or man, they'd have to take the daisy chain perk walk. So even Patty Lynch, the PBA president, told Bloomberg publicly, "You're killing us in the inner city because of these quotas." And he was right. And then it went to trial. Judge Shira Chinlin said the way they're doing it is unconstitutional. And before Bloomberg spent $1 billion to win America's Samoa in the Democratic primary, he did his apology tour. Stop and frisk is a tool, but only when it's probable cause, it's constitutional. No quotas. You can't have quotas. Because quotas, you can't put quotas on people. It's bad enough they have quotas for tickets. So, limited use.
Okay. What steps would you take to curb gun violence in our communities?
Well, as you know, guns are everywhere. Now they got the ghost guns. And although occasionally they give some attention to ghost guns, that is the most dangerous threat to all of us because you can't detect it by normal means. And now you can order it on the computer or your computer online. They send the parts, and you basically have an assembly line in your room. It's a very, very difficult situation. They have 2 gun intervention groups in the NYPD. 2 in the whole city. You need 2 alone in the Bronx. 1 in the North Bronx, north of the Cross Bronx Expressway, and 1 in the southern part. So you gotta ramp that up. Because these are men and women who can smell guns. And you have to turn them loose, as long as they're not abridging people's rights. But they do a very good job. There's just not enough of them. We only have 32,500 cops.
That's right.
We need 7,000 additional cops to get to the point where we need to be.
Okay, I've ran this by different electeds. I'm gonna run it by you. What are your thoughts on camera surveillance team safety programs being implemented into each precinct, where each precinct has a surveillance team that, and they send out a drone that is launched for emergency and crime scenes. And this drone will see things in real time, aerial views. This way the drone sees what's going on, the surveillance team sees what's going on before the cops are sent out. This way they know where to go, what to do, how to respond. What do you think about that program being implemented into our police?
Yeah, nothing wrong with using technology, but where I'd like them to use technology is all these 18-wheel tractor trailers that are parked. I went around St. Raymond Cemetery. I couldn't even look through the bar. I like to look, I like to look into cemeteries. Joe Armandani likes to walk through cemeteries like Bill de Blasio. I can't even look through the cemetery anymore. They got 18-wheel tractor trailers, they got RVs, garbage everywhere. So I think a quality of life issue. You send the drones, and then immediately, that's the other problem. They only have 2 industrial tow trucks in the NYPD.
Yes.
Subcontract them out. There's a lot of contracting. And get those 18-wheel tractor trailer rigs and impound them. And then you want it back, you gotta pay a lot of moolah shmoolah, and that'll end that.
We're down to 1. Update. We're down
One.
to 1.
Oh. 1. I didn't even know that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so our community is proud of our first responders, but there are issues with every community. What do you see as the most pressing issue with the police and the fire department?
Let me add an additional, the EMTs.
Yes, that was my next one.
Oh. First of all, a lot of former guardian angels became EMTs. They have post-traumatic stress syndrome. For nothing more, they can't even get a cup of coffee, and then they got to turn the lights and the sirens on and race. We don't have enough EMTs. You only get paid $39,000.
Exactly.
There's no parity. The equipment is old. The wagons, let's just say they've seen their best, and they're having to deal with emotionally disturbed persons,
That's right.
many of whom are resisting them, both when they carry them in to the EMT vehicle, whether it's fire or others, and then transport them to the hospital. And they get no attention, no recognition, and they're treated like people of no consequence.
No compensation.
Right? None. But $39,000, they need to have parity with uniformed services. The other ones who don't have parity, probation officers. They have a tough job. They're mostly women, about 80% of women. They don't give them a uniform, they don't give them guns, and they say, go serve a warrant in the Eden Wall Project. You need an army. And remember, the precinct is right there.
Unbelievable.
So you're the probation officer. You are not identified. You don't have a uniform. You don't have a gun. You have to serve this warrant to this blood member.
That's insane.
Right. And they're mostly women. Give them parity. They should be uniformed services. They're risking their life every day. And that's a tough job, probation.
All right. Last question on crime. What is your view on bringing back park police to restore order in our parks?
Well, first off, I would raise the budget. The budget's at 1%. Eric Adams cut it to 1%. Number two, developers, realtors, keep your filthy, money-grubbing hands off our parkland and wetlands. No, out. And, yes, you need enforcement. I mean, I'm walking to a park, Cortona Park the other day, and they have all the rules outside, no cigarettes, no drinking. This guy is smoking a blunt. It's like he's got an athletic sock filled with marijuana. No enforcement.
No enforcement.
None whatsoever. So yeah, they have to have enforcement. I remember the parkies, they all have quotas. Sanitation has quota, park department, EPA, they all have quotas. But the Parks Department have so few personnel assigned to enforcement, and the parks are really deteriorating quickly. The trees are dying. They're ready to collapse. It's really bad for the ecosystem. Doggies are leaving their doo everywhere, fertilizing the park. And I walk into the park right behind Borough Hall. Mounds of garbage, rats everywhere.
We have issues on the 4th of July with our parkway that it was like a third world country.
Oh yeah,
So we need our parks.
absolutely.
And their salaries need to be raised. The next few questions are going to have do with housing. With the passing of City of Yes and rezoning of our low-density communities, what preventative measures will you put in place to protect the overdevelopment in our communities?
Well, you remember what happened to Marjorie Velasquez, right?
Yes.
Remember how she promised, I will never sell you out. No to high density. And then by the midnight hour, she made a deal with Eric Adams. One and done. That's how we got Christy Marmorato, because of the rage. So now, they want to do affordable housing, mostly in the outer boroughs. We all agree we need affordable housing. From start to finish, if you build a building with 300 apartments, not all of them affordable, it takes 5 years from beginning to end. So I want to get the affordable housing quickly. There's 150,000 units we can get within a year. The real estate industry itself agrees. If you took 25 Empire State buildings, you could fill them with the empty office space that will never be used again for offices, because business doesn't have to operate the way it used to. Virtual work, people work from around the world, their homes, you don't need the space. You can retrofit that into affordable apartments. They're mostly all in Manhattan, which you already have the infrastructure. You got the subways, you got schools that are not used as much as the outer boroughs. I say most of that affordable housing should be built in Manhattan. Manhattan doesn't want it. So guess what, Manhattan? You got the empty space. We can see it. The lights are off at night. We're not idiots. Retrofit the empty office space into affordable apartments and stay out of the outer boroughs.
We're loving that. We're loving that. There's something else that's going on, and that is SROs, single room occupancies, where they're building these homes, these buildings, and it's common kitchens, common bathrooms, dormitory style living. Can you tell me what your feelings are?
Well, when I first met my wife Nancy, she was living in Sunset Park, which is predominantly Chinese now. It used to be predominantly Puerto Rican, Irish, Italian, then it became predominantly Chinese. And they would have these SROs. So being me, I just walk in. Oh my God.
Yeah.
People living in closets with padlocks. And every week, a person comes around to collect the rent money. no rules and regulations. You ain't got the rent, they throw you out into the street. And they can get pretty vicious about it. So SROs used to exist. Remember, all through Times Square, they were a disaster. SROs are now popping up. But there is a right way to run an SRO and a wrong way. So we have a lot of emotionally disturbed persons and homeless. I know how an SRO should be run. First of all, you don't put it in a populated area. You're asking for trouble.
Or in a residential.
No. There are plenty of places you can put them. Highly supervised. Every person gets their own privacy and dignity. Every person, I believe, I was taught by my father and mother, every person is entitled to privacy and dignity. When you strip that from a human being, the human being no longer has self-esteem, and if they don't care about themselves, they sure ain't gonna care about you. So what happens is in the shelters, they kick them out at 7 in the morning, they must come back at 10 to get the same bed. What are they doing all day long? Roaming your neighborhood, and most of it is getting into trouble. What I say is you have an SRO set up where you have the therapist, you have people with their medicine, you do training there. It's all one stop in the building.
Right.
These people need care, but they also need privacy. I don't know how many of you have been in shelters. There's over 300. The Department of Homeless Services, I call it the nonprofit industrial complex, because it's all about contracts and kickbacks, and then it's like incestuous. Your friends, your relatives, they get the contracts. It's billions of dollars. Men and women, they're living in dormitories, 8, 12, 20 in a room.
Wow.
There's no privacy. There's no dignity. You might as well be in a dorm on Rikers Island, because a lot of the guys just came out of Rikers Island. It's Darwinian survival of the fittest. An SRO, if properly run, can address a lot of the issues. You don't want to put it in an area like Morris Park or Frog's Neck or some of the neighborhoods. Plenty of places it can be. Proper supervision, therapy, medicine, and everybody will feel better about it. Let's say I was in that situation. My father was a merchant seaman 50 years, Chester. Used to take me as a child to the Bowery. That's where the flop houses were. That's where the Salvation Army was, where you had to pray in order to get a bowl of soup. A lot of the men there were down on their luck. They were former merchant seamen that my dad knew. And I'd see them wallowing in their defecation and urine, babbling, drinking, drug addicted. My dad would have conversations with them, and I thought there was something wrong with my dad. My dad would say to me, Curtis, there by the grace of God goes you. You have no idea what these men and women have been through. They all are unique and they have special stories. And he would introduce me. Here's Mr. Jacobs. He was a bosun on the ship. He comes home after doing 6 months out at sea. He comes home. His family is gone. They've packed up. They now have a different family. Traumatized, a broken man. He drinks all day. He barely survives. He said, can you imagine if I return, because he'd be out 8 months, and you and your 2 sisters and your mother were gone and you had a different family? I'm a strong man, I'd be a broken man. I probably would be in the Bowery. Boy, did that stick to me. So if you've ever noticed, when I post the things, I talk to these people. They have conversations with me. You would be surprised how smart some of them are, how in contact they are with their mental faculties, but they need dignity and they need privacy. They live in subways, in streets, and parks. We found $7 billion for people we didn't even know, the migrants. $7 billion.
Exactly.
And we don't even take care of our veterans.
That's right.
So when I'm mayor, forget being a tough guy. Nobody's tougher than me. We don't need tough guys. We need compassionate, concerned, caring. That's what we need in a mayor, not a tough guy.
So with many pedestrians getting hurt and losing their lives to motorized vehicle accidents from scooters and e-bikes, what is your stand on banning these from our parks and walking paths? And what would your plan be?
Yeah, it's like the Indianapolis 500.
Yes.
They go up, down, all around. Now, Adams finally imposed a 15-mile-per-hour limit. Who's enforcing it?
Correct.
There's no enforcing. I'll tell you a side story. So my wife, Nancy, she had a cataract, not a cataract problem. She had a problem with the side of her eye that temporarily blinded her. I had to take her to Columbia Presbyterian. So I'm guiding her. I'm walking down 86th Street, from one side to the other. And a woman is on one of these e-bikes, had to be going like 25 miles an hour. Hit me so hard, I felt the vibrations from the tip of my nose to the tip of my toes, but I couldn't go down for the count. Everybody was watching. But I was hurting for days. I've known so many people who are so frightened of these vehicles. Guys and gals are on them, they don't obey any rules of the road. There's no license plate. There's no identification of any type on the vehicle. They're not registered. We got cameras everywhere. They could be clipping them left and right. And if they're doing it for Grubhub or any delivery service, hit the service with the fines because they can pay, and then it's the trickle-down effect.
That's right.
They'll enforce the rules and regulation. The parks, they cannot be in the parks. In fact, I would have the police department seize the vehicles, put them in the back of the precinct, come get them with your identificational papers that you actually own this stuff, because a lot of them are stolen.
Okay, our next category is infrastructure.
Boy, these are good questions.
Thank you. I like my job. Okay, the congestion in our streets is causing delays for our first responders, and as they do their job, causing casualties, which is being dictated by our infrastructure issues. What are your plans to mitigate this?
All right, first let's deal with bike lanes, okay? Because people have to get to emergencies, fire department, EMTs, police. My policy on bike lanes, because some neighborhoods, they love their bike lanes. You see them all out there. They love bikes. You put a bike lane in, if you don't use it, you lose it within 6 months. I remember a time I'm on Queens Boulevard where a lot of merchants lost their businesses because they put a bike lane. And I taught my two youngest sons how to play skelly on a Sunday afternoon. Remember, I made a box, I had the bottle caps, I taught them. We were sitting there for an hour in a bike lane, finally a bike came. And still to this day, almost no bicycles. But there are other areas of the city. If you go to northern Brooklyn, ooh, there's more bicycles than there are vehicles. So you have to do that. But now they have these potted areas in the middle, these medians. They have the bike lanes, the trucks and the water truck for the fire department can't get through. The EMTs can't get through, the police can't get through. Safety is first and foremost. And the Department of Transportation, which is run by this guy, Idanis Rodriguez. Oh, yeah. What a piece of work this guy is. He just jumped ship and endorsed Zoran Mandami. So there's a very good chance that the pain and suffering we've gone through with him is going to be exacerbated if he remains the head of the DOT. Infrastructure, notice we were for a while there wanting to build 3 new stations on the Q train, 2nd Avenue line. We don't need it in East Harlem. The president has ceased the funding. But we need capital improvements for existing structure, like in our subways, they're falling apart. Why are we building 3 new subway stations that'll cost gazillions of dollars? And you can go into every neighborhood and look at the capital improvements that are missing. So I say to the construction industries, look, I don't want you going into residential areas, destroying them because of the city of yes, because you need work. There's so much capital improvement work. Precincts. We need new precincts, retrofitted, fixed. Firehouses, retrofitted, fixed. You could go right on down the line. Schools, there's plenty of work. Put the money into fixing what we already have without constantly thinking of building new things.
I'm going to jump off my questions for a second. I had the audience email some questions to save some time tonight, so I'm just going to jump to the audience questions, and one of them was, if you win, how do you deal with Governor Kathy Hochul, who supports Mandami? Can you get things on your agenda passed?
Any of you who've grown up in New York know that governors don't get along with mayors, mayors don't get along with governors. They're like two scorpions in a brandy glass. I go back to John Lindsay and Nelson Rockefeller, hated each other. Rudy and Pataki before 9/11 hated each other. Because remember, Rudy jumped ship and supported Mario against Pataki. So Pataki was like, oh. But then 9/11 happened, they put aside their differences, worked together. Cuomo and de Blasio, they were the best of friends. At HUD, Andrew was the secretary, the deputy secretary for the Northeast was de Blasio. The moment one was the governor and the mayor, they didn't get along. So with Kathy Hochul, the way you approach her, you say, Kathy, you're a girl from Western New York. You've said that you can look out your kitchen window and actually see Ontario, which you can't. Unlike Sarah Palin, who said I could look out my kitchen window and see Russia. I'd like to know what drug she was on that day. But Kathy, you really don't know about subways and buses, and you're the head of the MTA. I will be your consigliere. Nobody knows more about that than me.
That's right.
And she, let's face it, how would she know? She's not from an area. She's from Western New York. They got a little trolley there in Buffalo. She doesn't know. So it's basically you're trading. She still has more power than the mayor. And you have to be respectful of that.
Sure.
But she also has a budget gap, a looming budget gap of $36 billion that Tom DiNapoli, the Democratic controller, has said we got to close that budget. So again, even with Trump or with Hochul, if you're going to start bumping chests, you're going to lose. And you know who loses? The people of New York City.
That's right. That's right.
So that's not the time for Curtis Sliwa to be a tough guy. That's the time to say, hey, Kathy, I can help you with the subways and buses. You're still the shot caller, but I can be your consigliere. I think she would appreciate that because the subways and buses now and the express buses are a mess.
Disaster.
Yep.
Okay. The next audience question is, if you win, how can you pass hiring more police if the city council, who's all Democrats, wants to defund the police and is far left?
Well, that's true. And I remember when Bill de Blasio did that in the summer of 2020, the George Floyd summer, they defunded the police department by $1 billion and the city council danced to Tarantella, remember? I'll never forget, the real fake phony fraud for Fugazi and that was Richie Torres.
Right.
He scrubbed all his social networking. I remember this guy was posting, yay, defund the police, yay, Black Lives Matter. Then all of a sudden he was thinking of running for governor and man, scrubbed. But I know who was dancing. And I know they not only disabled the police department by $1 billion, but they took offline the homeless outreach effort of the police department, which had men and women who were police who were dedicated to caring for emotionally disturbed and homeless in each borough. And they had with them medical practitioners and mental health care experts. See, they all talk about doing that now. They already did that. And they were effective. I knew a lot of them. They disbanded it. I would put that back immediately. That would not require getting new funding. But to get the 7,000 cops we desperately need, I would use the Boston option. Now, Boston has a unique plan. Payment in lieu of taxes. They go to the universities, because you know how many universities they have there, and they say, a lot of the property you bought up, you're not using for education. It's like you're in the real estate business. You want us to tax you, property tax? We should be with Columbia and NYU. A lot of the property they bought up in Morningside Heights in the Village, they're not using for educational needs. So payment in lieu of taxes, they raised $1 billion to help subsidize their police. And then I go after the big guy. You saw him the other day after the second debate. Andrew Cuomo ran courtside, sitting with Eric Adams watching the Knicks. Jimmy Dolan pays no property tax on Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
Every year he owes us $48 million. He hires all the cronies, so they leave him alone. I would say, Jimmy, you know how much you owe us in back taxes? $982 million, and you're gonna pay up. Well, why don't you move Madison Square Garden? Where are you gonna move it to? Secaucus? They already tried that, the Nets. Where are they now? Brooklyn. So you can't fake us out any longer. Because remember, that's what Steinbrenner said. He was going to move Yankee Stadium and everybody had a heart attack. Back then you could. Now, you're going to leave? No. Pay your fair share. And we can get that money to hire the cops. I don't need the city council for that.
Okay. How would you tackle the overcrowding in our city schools as the population in our communities increase?
Okay, well, you see, you say overcrowding. Not overcrowding. I've been in a lot of public schools. We have 100,000 less students. We have 200 schools with 200 or less students.
Wow.
So my idea is conflate them. How can you have a running school with 200 or less students? But even though we have mayoral control, Eric Adams does not have cojones. He doesn't have backbone. He's impotent. Michael Mulgrew, who is in charge of the UFT, has told the mayor, no, they're going to remain schools with less than 200 students. So I would move in on that and say, okay, we're going to turn them into vocational training schools. Because by 4th grade, remember what I said? 2/3 of the children cannot read, write, or do math at grade level. I remember at Bildersley Junior High School, I was in the SP class. Remember the SP?
Yes.
3 years, not 2. And I was losing my mind in 7th grade. I started chasing skirts. And my numbers plummeted. So I'll never forget, the guidance counselor says, come here, sit. Did you ever think of art, culinary, metal, class, wood, class?
Well,
I said, no, I really didn't. You know, Westinghouse has a real good program downtown Brooklyn. You know, it's a transit tech, you know, they just built that right there on the conduit. I'm like, you saying vocational high school like my cousins went to who were in 4F while I was in 4-1 and PS 144A and PS 114? Yeah, I got my rearing gear. I didn't want to go for vocational training. But if we can turn a lot of these schools that are not being used for the proper purpose into vocational training academies, we would be preparing a lot of young men and women for well-paying careers. They'll always have a skill. Even if they make the wrong choices in life, they can always fall back on that skill. I have cousins, the Supreme Cuisine cousins, who went to East New York Vocational Training High School. If they hadn't, they'd have been up in Elmira and Auburn. These were bad guys. They became carpenters, electricians, plumbers. They had their own small businesses, and they straightened out. Vocational training has been a lifesaver. Gompers, 149 Southern Boulevard. You know how many people have come out of Gompers? Highly skilled, high tradesmen and tradeswomen. How many vocational training schools do we have in the Bronx?
No. Few, very few.
You see some of those poor schools like Morris High School, right near St. Mary's Park. Academically, most of those children are not cutting it, those young adults. Why wouldn't you convert that into a vocational high school like Gompers? Take a lot of Dodge,
yes.
right? Dodge used to be all girls
That's right.
until they brought the boys in, and they ruined it. Take some of those poor performing schools and flip them into vocational training academies.
Congestion pricing is having us dig deeper into our pockets. Where do you stand on this issue?
I'm the only candidate opposed to it. So south of 60th Street, you get clipped for $9, and you know Kathy Hochul really wanted it to be 18, and it'll soon be 36. It never stays there. They always raise it. First of all, it's a tax, and it's supposed to offset the fare evasion, right? We lose $1 billion a year in all kinds of fare evasion, not just not paying buses, paying subways, but people who are not paying the tolls, ripping off the system. Long Island Railroad, Metro North, it's $1 billion a year. We're supposed to offset that. They'll raise maybe $550 million when all is said and done by January 1st. That's half of what they expected. And what you notice if you go south at 60th Street is all the small shops that are closed. Across from City Hall itself, 9 small shops closed. I had a chance to speak to some of the merchants who were there, inherited it from their grandparents. Charlie, why'd you close? You had a nice shop. I don't have enough foot traffic. I can't pay the lease, the rent at the end of the month. So now you have all of these empty storefronts, and they used that brown paper that we used to get from the butcher shop when you didn't have money to use as book covers. Now some of the kids, they could get Superman, Superwoman, all that. We had the brown paper, and they put it on the windows, and then you see, even when it's empty, this is what you do. The city has so many empty storefronts, most of which came about when they imposed congestion pricing. And remember, they did it on January 1st. They actually had a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right at 60th Street. Yay! Yay! What do you mean, yay? You're picking our pockets again, because that's all the government does. The Trump administration wants to end it. Hochul has resisted it. Adams supports it. Cuomo supports it. Zorhan supports it. I would join the Trump administration and say, end it. End it. Congestion pricing.
Civic groups such as this one are the eyes, ears, and heart of the community. Our current mayor has not made much time for such groups. How do you feel about community civic associations, and will you make the time to engage with such groups like you have this evening?
Well, my father, Chester, was from Chicago. That's where civic organizations were first created, the turn of the last century. So when I visited there during holidays, Christmas and Easter, he would take me to Sherman Park where he went to school. He took me to his high schools. He had to leave because of the Depression and sail flatboats down the Mississippi to support the family. Eventually, Merchant Marines, World War II, Korean War, like so many men at that era. But when he took me around, he took me where he used to go to civic meetings, where his father, Anton, my grandfather on Polish side, would take him to civic, and the place was packed, he would tell me. And that's where he learned about civics. We don't teach civics in school, so naturally, as our generation fades out, do we think we're going to have any people to replace us? Probably not. But Adams doesn't want to recognize community boards or civic groups. With me, the more civic groups, the better. The best place I ever saw it was in San Antonio when I started the Guardian Angels there years ago. They had a mayor who graduated Harvard. They thought he'd be the first Latino president, Henry Cisneros. Oh, yeah. He became chairman of HUD. Then they accused him of cheating on his wife. Like, hey, how many politicians cheat on their wife? Look, I shouldn't speak, right? I've had my own problems. But the FBI sacked him, and that's how we ended up with Andrew Cuomo. But Henry Cisneros said, Curtis, I want you to come to the bullpen. So I'm thinking this is San Antonio. Maybe they still have bullfighting. So it's an arena they had where all the civic groups were there, and the mayor was right in the middle. And it was rapid fire. Now, Henry Cisneros was really good. Debonair, good looking, well spoken. After 2 hours, he got one hell of a beat down. He comes out, he says, Curtis, I have to do this every week. I loved it. A mayor and elected officials should have to be in the middle of the bullpen because civic groups know more about what's going on in the community than anybody else. Notice, what's the pejorative word they use to describe you politicians? And remember, I was married to one for a while, so I know how they tell. Gadflies. Gadflies? We need more gadflies to keep the pressure, their feet to the fire, because they don't want to answer questions. And you know who does most of the work for them? The staff. The staff does most of the work. These people, when I'm mayor, get recognized, staff people, because they're dedicated, they're always put to the rear. Whenever the politician comes out with index cards, beware. And they don't know what the hell they're talking about. The staff has prepared the words, and they tell them, just read it off the index card. Nope.
All right.
Civics, great. I know the history of them. In neighborhoods where you have strong civics, it neuters the impact that comes from City Hall, who tries to basically run your lives. Civics and community boards are the firewall. Zoning, the firewall. Your council person, the firewall. I want them to have to go through all of these steps in order to be able to introduce their concepts and ideas. And if you're well informed and you're well organized, you will give them such blowback that they won't return for a month of Sundays unless Eric Adams, you're opening up a new nightclub and then
Comes for free.
Okay. I have 2 more questions. I've even cut some of my questions. I had a lot for you.
Oh, let me tell you, we could stay here all
All
night.
right. Okay, I have 2 more. What do you say to the New Yorkers who are on the fence in choice? I've been walking around this weekend and I had people come up to say, Rita, I am so confused. I mean, I personally said, what do you have to be confused about? But they're like, I'm so confused. What do you have to say to those New Yorkers?
Now, confused about life, confused about politics,
Many
confused
things,
about
many
the
things,
mayoral
but-
election.
The mayoral election
Okay.
primarily.
What I say to all New Yorkers is you have the old and you have the new. If you want to bring back the old, you bring back all the headaches that got us into this mess to begin with,
Yeah.
whether it was Eric Adams or Andrew Cuomo. Or you go with the guy whose resume can fit on a cocktail napkin, Zoran Mandami. He's a trust fund baby. He benefited from the fact that his parents did well and they could write him out fat checks. They were capitalists, but he espouses socialism. I'm not afraid of socialism. Everybody, ooh, socialism, ooh. Do you know we've had socialists in elective office in New York City throughout our history?
Sure.
Fiorello LaGuardia was not only a liberal Republican, when the Republicans were the most liberal, he was a member of the American Labor Party, socialist. Socialism, you don't fear it. If you disagree with it, you beat it at the ballot box. A lot of the issues have focused on Israel, Jews, Palestinians, Gaza. How many of you know who the first leader of the state of Israel was?
Oh,
Oh man, we got to reintroduce world history here. I've been to Israel 3 times. He lived in a very humble house outside the Negev desert. That's where they have their chocolate factory, their 80 nuclear missiles to protect them against their many enemies. So they started with the Labor Party. The Labor Party were socialists and continue to be socialists. Remember when Rabin, the prime minister, was assassinated when he had spoken at that rally in Tel Aviv? He's a socialist. People, when you go to Israel, all those years complain, I can't get anything done because of the socialists. There's pounds of paperwork, I got a business, I got to pay like 10 times the value to get this package delivered to the United States. Ben Gurion was the founder and savior. A socialist. Now, when I tell this to my Jewish friends, because a socialist, I say, the whole state of Israel was founded on socialism. Now, you have a multi-party system. There are 38 parties when you go to Israel. Wow. And the biggest battle is between the secular and the religious. They're constantly at each other's throats. Don't fear socialism. Beat them at the ballot box. We've seen the places it's been tried. It doesn't work. And you don't even have to be draconian. I've been to Havana, Cuba. You can see there's 2 lanes. There's the stores for the tourists. They got everything there. There's the stores for the locals. They give you a mangy plastic bag. You get a ration book. You maybe get 1 chicken leg a week. They throw some rice in there. They throw some bread in there, and that's it. Survive. Where does it work? So that's what you do. But the hysteria, the fear, the fright, Zora, Mandami, the socialists, the Zoroasters. I'm a street warrior. When you're out there in the streets, you show fear. You're dead. It's over. It's over. Even when I should be afraid, I should be having an X-lax attack. Guns to my left, guns to my right. You got to be cool, calm, and collected. There's so much panic that the new generation, we got it. They're afraid. They're leaving. Going to Florida, Georgia, they say if Zoran gets elected, they're all out of here. The city is ours. We take the flag of capitalism, we put the flag of socialism. Whereas I say, no. Fight. We improve, we don't move. Let's say, hypothetically, Zoran becomes the mayor. All I've heard is, I heard Andrew Cuomo, I'm fleeing to Florida with my billionaire friends. Well, get the hell out of here. I stay, I fight for what I know is right. We've been in precarious situations before. America survives. But when you're frightened, you know. Pearl Harbor, what were the famous words of our president at that time, FDR? Fear itself, right? And he brought us together. Remember, a lot of people didn't like Roosevelt, man. Hey, that guy's a communist socialist. And he said, you got to be a student of history and know we've been through these cycles. But if you happen to be a Democrat, a pox on your house. You let Bernie Sanders in. He's never been a Democrat to run against Hillary because she wanted competition. AOC beat Joe Crowley. He represented this area. He never showed up. He didn't campaign. And Zoran Mandami whipped Andrew Cuomo, who did not run a campaign. So mainstream Democrats, you have only yourselves to blame. You let the socialists in and they've taken over your party. I'm a proud Republican because I know I'm not gonna bend, bow, and be broken because the Democrats have forsaken the state and the city. Look, it's their mess. They gotta fight for their party. Any of you Republicans here, can you raise your hand if you are? How many of you in 2021 got calls, letters to become rent-a-wreck Democrats to help them fend off the social? Remember they were trying to encourage you to come? And they did it this year too. They spent $7 million. Please become Democrats just for this election cycle so we can beat the socialists, right? Am I right or wrong? They used the Republicans and they still lost the primary because they're not willing to fight for their own party beliefs. I'm willing to fight. I've always been a fighter. You don't fold, you don't buck a bow, you fight. And unfortunately, they're in a position now where they're captives of this new generation who loves socialism but doesn't realize the ramifications of what it means for all of us.
That's right. And the last question is, what major issues do you foresee tackling right out of the gate, if you're elected?
Right out of the gate, it's clear to me. You go there to the 4-5 precinct, you have 2 squad cars out at night, overnight. You know how big that district is?
That's right.
4-7, same thing, 2 squad cars. It happens in the Bronx because you're the forgotten borough. You're the Bronx. It's always been the forgotten borough. I don't ever remember when it was prioritized, the Bronx. When I was here starting the Guardian Angels, even with the mayors that I loved, Rudy, Bloomberg, they never prioritized the Bronx. Bronx always, you're like the last. You get the hand-me-downs of everything. So what I do is, I go to each police precinct, I shake the hands of as many men and women who serve as possible, and I say, I'm gonna fight to get your insurance back. If you notice in the debates, I had to sort of do a tutorial about qualified immunity. It's a fancy $5 word. Most people don't understand. I didn't even understand when I first heard, what's qualified immunity? Basically means it's the insurance that we as taxpayers afford to all the civil servants. They're 320,000 from the mayor right on down. They're all insured. So that if they get sued, they don't get sued personally. The only civil servants who get sued now are police because of what the city council did in 2021 to strip them of their qualified immunity. And Eric Adams, who liked to always say, for 22 years, I put on a bulletproof vest and I served the people as a cop. He was a house mouse. But anyway, he didn't stand up for the police. So right now, if you want to retain what we have, if you want to recruit new classes for College Point to graduate them, to nourish the cops who retire under normal circumstances or early retirement or are getting recruited away, you got to give them back the insurance, qualified immunity. That's what I go to war for. And I explain it to the people. I said, how would you function without insurance? Your car, it's got to be insured, right? Well, we know people don't have insurance on the cars. That's why we're no fault. Your house. Think of all the things that you have to have insurance on. We don't insure cops. I have here with me former NYPD police officers armed to protect me because of the many threats and the threats made against my wife, Nancy. We should give them a great round of applause. As private security, they have insurance. As police officers, they were stripped of their insurance. Think of that. What man or woman is going to venture into a crowd, do a jump out, get physically entangled with a bunch of thugs if they know that they can personally be sued and lose what little they have in this world? They're not men and women of great wealth. The first 5 years, when you're a police officer, you're probably sleeping in the basement of mom and dad's house on a Castro convertible. And you barely are able to rub nickels and dimes and pennies together. This is, in Yiddish, it's a shanda. In Italian, it's un disgraziato. So I have to explain it to the people. If we want the police to be police again, we gotta insure them. Look at Andy Cuomo. He's being sued by 13 women that work for him. One, a state trooper. Do you know who pays the sexual harassment settlement? We do. 20 million now, there'll be 60 million when all is said and done. Why? Because when he was governor, he had qualified immunity. So if it ever gets to the point, I'm gonna say, I'm stripping myself of my qualified immunity. And oh boy, have I been sued in my lifetime a lot. I'm not gonna be bulletproof anymore. And Jumani, you're the public advocate, you are not gonna have qualified immunity, and whoever gets elected control to know. Because if the cops don't have qualified immunity, then none of us should have qualified immunity.
That's right.
Oh no, but holy, no. First thing I got
With that, I'm going to ask for a closing statement. Then I want you to stand right in the middle with all the good people of Pelham Gardens, Morris Park, Van Aston Country Club. Take a picture, and then a picture with my board.
I gotta
How does that sound?
first acknowledge. You know who Eddie Brown is?
Yes.
Eddie Brown, toughest guy in town, former treasurer of the UFA, one of my first guardian angels. Tough. He told me, oh yeah, I live near a country club. I said, you got a country club over there? That's so funny. And then I learned all the neighborhoods around here, the neck, I had no idea they existed. I guess you wanted it to stay that way. But side story real quick. So Eddie Brown, we're in New Orleans, I'm recruiting guardian angels near Bourbon and Canal. An emotionally disturbed person, of which there are many in New Orleans, walks up to me, and out of the side of my eye, I don't see him. He's got a revolver in a paper bag. He aims it like this. He's ready to click. I'm dead. Eddie Brown flies through the air towards an axe kick, takes the guy down. The guy's sucking concrete. The cops, who are worse than the thugs there, they hang out in the bars. Believe it or not, they're assigned to the bars in uniform, which shocked me when I was first there. They drag him away. They hit him with truncheons and blackjacks. Beat the guy up. So I said to Eddie, I guess this is how they deal with stuff in New Orleans. That night, we're walking around near the levees, Jackson Square, where the cathedral is. Eddie goes, look who's coming our way. It was that guy.
Yeah.
He had the hospital bracelet, walked right past us like we were people of no consequence. That's New York City now. That's what we deal with. But I owe my life to the baddest, toughest guy in town, Eddie Brown, former treasurer of the UFA.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't really answer your question there. Oh, closing statement.
Closing statement.
All right. Without the Bronx embracing my concept of the guardian angels, there would never have been the guardian angels. Without the young men and women being allowed to join the guardian angels by their parents who were terrified, remember, unarmed, going out there, dealing with Uzi-toting, dope-sucking, psychopathic killing machines, there would never have been guardian angels. I'm beholden to the Bronx. I would not be standing here as a mayoral candidate if not for the track record that I developed as the leader of the guardian angels here, which started in the Bronx and spread throughout New York City, and now it's in 13 countries, 130 cities, without the support of the Bronx. You can be assured, you elect me mayor, the Bronx gets prioritized. Rudy prioritized Staten Island because that's how he got elected. Every mayor prioritizes something. Bill de Blasio prioritized smoking Maui Wowie and Hindu Kush on the backwood of Gracie Mansion. But every mayor prioritizes. Eric Adams partying till the break of dawn. With me, I'm going to spend a lot of time in the Bronx.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed our meeting this evening.
Oh, definitely.
We enjoyed having you, and we hope to see more.
Oh, definitely, especially if you elect me mayor.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure, go ahead, Bob.
I'm so happy that you didn't capitulate with all the demands of, people wanting you to, because
Stop out.
you're not the spoiler, it's Cuomo was the spoiler.
That's right.
He's the one.
And imagine, it got so hectic, they offered me $10 million. That's a lot of moolah shmoolah, scatto. Jeeves, stretch limo, no-show job. And I'll never forget the last call that my wife listened to. She's an attorney, and she said, you gotta end this. You gotta put everybody on blast and let them know you're gonna be wired up like a Christmas tree and you're gonna record their conversations. The guy who I'd known for years, who I grew up with, I saved his life. He owed the Lucchese's money in a card game and he didn't pay the vig, and I dragged him away from them, and boy, they gave me a beat down in Canarsie on Avenue L. He says to me, Curtis, everybody has a price. What's your price? And I said, I'm not gonna say his name, I guess you really don't know me as well as you thought. I came in ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I come in with nothing, I leave with nothing. When I die, and let's face it, I've been a few times very close to dying, I want to die a man of honor, a man of integrity, a man who couldn't be bought, leased, rented, or sold. And when I'm mayor, big sign outside of City Hall, lobbyists, stay the hell away. The city is not for sale.